Hey guys, Sundown Rider here. This is going to be my chapter review to One Piece 877. I'm not that sweet. Now this chapter I thought was actually really good. It was a solid chapter all the way through. We had the right amount of action. There wasn't too much comedy or anything like that, and we got to see another dark moment in One Piece. And I'm really liking this dark, the kind of darker characteristics and darker undertones this story is taking as it's going further and further into the new world. I mean, we've seen the deaths of already. I've forgotten who we've seen the deaths of since the New World, but we've seen a couple figures dying that we already knew a bit about. That was it, Virgo and Monet. We saw them die, and it's not usual for people to die in One Piece. And to be honest, they weren't too integral to the Straw Hat crew, so it wasn't too much of a it didn't have too much of an impact on the fan base in terms of them two dying. But the fact that in this chapter, and I hope you've already read it, please do. Spoiler alert. This chapter we see Pedro go in, and he basically looks like he dies. Now, if I'm hoping that Pedro has actually died, because if he survives after all this and does a Pell thing where he freaking took that nuke and he stayed alive, that's straight bullshit. And I hate it when Oda does stuff like that. If he's gonna kill someone, or if he's gonna give away that feeling of, oh crap, this person might be severely in danger right now, then there has to be that consequence of them dying if something does go wrong. There's gotta be that consequence of someone dying if they do mess up, or if they're trying to kill themselves by sacrificing themselves. So let's talk about first Pedro. So yeah, like I said, Pedro goes in. The Straw Hats. He mentions the Straw Hats may well be the ones that the Kozuki clan and the Minks have been waiting for, and they're going to lead the world into a new dawn. Now they're the main characters of this story. So when it was mentioned before, back in where the Minks live and stuff, on the back of the elephant, back on Zoe, it was kind of understood that the Straw Hats were going to be that crew anyway. They were going to be that group of people. But this was kind of cool, just seeing Pedro kind of confirm that. Pedro attacks Perospero. Now, Perospero, I'll talk about him later, but he was going in this chapter. He was putting in some work. So then Pedro, if you've read the chapter, he goes full kamikaze, and he may have taken out Perospero. We don't know yet. I kind of hope he has taken out Perospero, but then I'm thinking Perospero was putting in some work this chapter, and I kind of want to see more of Perospero. Which is pretty cool. But Pedro was going in. The fact that he even attacked Perospero, and then he went on to have that small mini speech, which was also cool. And then he's letting Carrot know about the fact that she needs to continue with the Straw Hats. The Minks need to continue backing the Straw Hats through their journey, because they're the people that are going to continue and lead the world to this new dawn. He also I think if you look at the last double spread, he hits Big Mom with his explosion, which is pretty cool, and he also frees the Sunny from Perospero's candy coating thing. And like I said before, he best actually be dead, otherwise it's all just a bit. It puts me off when a character sacrifices himself like this, like Pell did, and then they didn't actually waste anything. It was like, oh yeah, I just ruffled my feathers a bit, It's like, come on, man. So then I was saying before. Perospero was going in, so let's talk about Perospero going in. Now, first off, he incarcerates both Chopper and Brook, which is no small feat, but, Chopper and Brook were taking on a whole bunch of soldiers which were coming in through that mirror world, and in this chapter we see that a ton load more came in. And in 3 minutes, Chopper will die due to his being coated both externally and internally with candy. I assume it's internally as well, because he said it seeps in. His Candy Maiden attack, which he releases on Luffy, that looked awesome. I can't say anything more than that. It just looked awesome. I mean, it's kind of like designed in Iron Maiden, hence Candy Maiden. And it looked awesome. It was unlucky that it was up against Luffy, though, because Luffy can use Red Hook specifically. That's the one move I think that would have broken through the Candy Maiden, because it looked like it might have been clad in Haki as well, Musoshoku Haki. But Luffy uses his Red Hook, which the flames, heat melts away the hardened sugar, it's all that kind of thing. And it was also cool to see Perospero not only going in, but he was kind of in command all the way throughout this chapter. Katakuri's there putting in the work as well, which we'll talk about later. But Perospero was almost kind of taking control of this whole thing. He was like, yeah, I'll be the one in charge. I know he's the first son, but Katakuri's the commander there. He's the only sweet commander there. So I thought he would have been in charge, but he seems to be happy to just let Pedro do his own thing. And he's like, yeah, I'll let my older brother take care of this whole thing. So that was cool to see Pedro just taking command and everything like that. He also trapped the Thousand Sunny. I was like, yo, okay, this guy's going. He's very meticulous and he pays attention to detail. We see this in this chapter. I didn't assume that of Pedro before, but in this chapter we see that he is actually quite in depth in his work, because he'd already ordered the siege by ship, which was a good idea to begin with. He orders Mondor to do that anyway. But when he then goes on to trap the Thousand Sunny in Candy, so he's basically screwed them over, because Big Mom's on the shore, the ships are coming in by siege, Katakuri's there, and it depends on who's going to get to them first and who's going to kill them first. And then the final bit where I was like, Pero's just he's a boss, he's a creepy guy, but he's just a boss because he easily subdues Pedro. And now whether this was Pedro's whether this was his original idea anyway, like I'll lunge in, he'll think he's got me down, and then I'll explode and shit. Whether that was his original idea or not, I don't know, but it looked like he just brushed away Pedro's attack and got him on the ground, and he was like, yo, you're screwed now. And we also get the reveal of his bounty, which is 700 million, which is higher than both Luffy and Law. So he could be a captain in his own right, and technically he is the first son of Big Mom. So, you know, that's a really good bounty to have for someone within a crew, you know. So I thought Perospero went in, and I thought he did a really good job this chapter. I thought Oda did a good job this chapter of making Perospero more than what we thought he was. And then obviously we saw our boy Katakuri go in. Now I was saying these last three chapters that I didn't think Katakuri was gonna I thought I had a weird vibe about him. Maybe he wouldn't side with the Big Mom Pirates, but this week he breaks his silence, and he is, in actual fact, very loyal to the Big Mom Pirates. So first off, we see him saving his subordinates from Luffy's Haoshoku Haki, his Emperor's Haki, using his Kenbun Shoku, so using his observation Haki. And that was cool. I was like, yo, okay, so this guy, he seems to be one of the few commanders there, or few people within Big Mom's crew, who even gives us like a small iota of consideration for the rest of his crewmates. Because if that was Pero, even though he seems to be in command, I doubt if he had that ability he would have saved his crew. You know, he seems to care about number one all the time, whereas Katakuri was like, yeah, I'm gonna get you guys out of here, so get your ass back through the mirror world. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. He clashes with Luffy. It was Busoshoku against Busoshoku, and it looked awesome. And I'm so hyped for what's gonna go on in the next chapter. And it's made mention of that his powers are very similar to Luffy's in this chapter, and I was like, yeah, it is kind of similar. You know, Mochi, it's stretchy and things like that. Luffy's got the whole rubber thing going. The only thing is Mochi, his fruit seems to allow things to pass through it and then to wrap around it, whereas Luffy would have to wind around something rather than allow something through and within himself. Another point which I'd like to mention is that Luffy, we've known this for a long time, but Luffy has always had this nose for just sensing who the strongest person is, or the person he needs to fight. It doesn't even have to be the strongest person, it's the person that he needs to fight specifically, and it's usually the strongest person. But Luffy knows almost instinctually which person he has to fight, and Katakuri and Luffy, that's been hyped. People have been hyping that for a long while. Katakuri saying that he was going to bring back Straw Hat's head and things like that. So for the next chapter, that's boding really well, and I think it's going to be awesome. So yeah, this whole chapter was really good. Those were the three main things I wanted to talk about. The cover page was Sai for part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, and we see that he did actually make a good choice with Baby 5, because his fiance prior to Baby 5 was like some Okama looking chick. She's like got a huge square chin, she's really, really beefy, and her body's kinda dope, but she's really, really, like, she looks straight up Okama, and I'm just like, yo, I can see why he went for Baby 5 if he'd seen her prior to that. So then, coming on to what we're gonna see next time, hope we got a break for One Piece, which is Oda's gotta have his breaks. But next time it's gonna be Katakuri versus Luffy, which is gonna be awesome. Katakuri and him sharing these similar abilities. People were actually saying that Luffy may gain some insights on how to use his abilities in a different way, seeing Katakuri using a more experienced fighter, a more level-headed fighter, Luffy being a more volatile fighter and more explosive. So yeah, I think Luffy will learn a lot through this. He may even gain some hints as to his awakening. I assume Katakuri already knows how to awaken his fruit, or has already awakened his fruit, and will utilize that at some point in this fight. Katakuri's still on the ship, which has been dislodged from Pedro's candy. So we'll see how that goes as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. I thought this chapter was about an 8 out of 10. It was a really solid chapter, to be fair. I just hope that Pedro's sacrifice isn't actually just like a mile, like he hasn't just lost an arm or something. I hope Pedro's actually died. I mean, I like him as a character, but this wouldn't be a sacrifice if he hadn't sacrificed his life, you know? So let me know what you guys thought. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in a bit.